can't seem to get it out. Blank space where you shut my mouth. Filled yours with love that's spitting out. I thought we wanted the same thing. Trust me, it's alright. Goodbye. Now let me try to sleep. I don't care to say goodnight. It would be a lie. Another fleeting dream. Trust me, it's alright. Goodbye. You never meant anything. You mean nothing to me. Just stay at home. So lost and alone. Be here alone. Don't tell a soul. Been so down since you left. Can't get out of this hole. Stay safe at home. So lost and alone.
Hello. Welcome. What we're going to be doing today, guys, as always, is discussing the game. It's Man City 2, Arsenal 2. We're going to be talking about it's a game of two halves and all that whatnot. We're going to talk about the lineup. Did Pep make a mistake in that respect? Did players make mistakes? And what do we think about it generally? That sort of thing. And it's always an interactive show, so feel free to get involved in the chat. It'll be a back and forth thing. Apologies if my voice sounds a bit hoarse. I celebrated that Haaland goal particularly aggressively at the Etihad today. And I think it's hurt my throat, to be honest, so I did a lot of shouting. But hopefully it's not too... I know my voice is already pretty annoying, but hopefully it's not too bad. Yes, indeed. Hello, guys. Where do we even start, says Gent. Pep, a major part of today's draw, says Jadine. Hello, Matty. Sorry, I don't know what WSG means. Blob says we're poor tactically. Give Walker a contract extension, says Musty. Arsenal well within their right to play like that, though. Andrew, you are our top super chatter for this month so far, so your name is in the credits, of course. Indeed, Fuscan. Johnny Stones is the man. Needs to be better against bigger teams, says Stephen. Their goals were wonders. Kishan says we deserve to win. I'm guessing that you mean City. It's funny when you say Paquetá. Why? Watching the game at the Etihad. Well, it wasn't a very good spectacle, the majority of that game. Let's talk about, I think, the sort of the lineup. Now, I was very confused. I think that's the word to use. Confused about the team selection today. We all know how, or rather, we all knew how Arsenal were going to play today, no matter whether they had 11 or 10 men, in fairness. So I understood the front three, obviously Haaland. I understood having Savio and Doku because we know that Arsenal were always going to, as I say, defend deep and compact, and therefore you're not going to be able to create that much from the centre. Therefore, you need to make sure that your wide players are capable of beating their men and creating, and obviously Savio and Doku, that's their bread and butter, beating players. So I can totally understand why they both started. And I would have started them from the start. Everyone knows how much I love Jack Grealish, but I just felt that before a ball was kicked, probably made more sense to start those two wide players. That's fine. Midfield confused me. I was very shocked that there was no Foden, but maybe that's just because he hasn't started yet in the Premier League. He hasn't started at all this season because of injury/illness. So maybe that was the rationale there. So, okay, I'll put that to one side. That's fine. The Walker one did confuse me in terms of him starting. Very confusing, to be honest. We all know that Walker's basically done at this level. In terms of the biggest games, anyway. City have outgrown him. So it was very surprising, in my opinion, to see him start. Shadu, thank you for following the Twitch. Big up to you, Shadu. Very unusual there. But I'll tell you what, lads. It worked. Pep's plan worked for like the first 20 minutes, in fairness. City were all over Arsenal. It was very good football. It was very exciting. Calafiori in particular couldn't really handle Savio. It was working in respect of the midfield as well. We weren't getting overrun. Arsenal, in fairness, in those first 20 minutes, they weren't overly deep. They were, in some instances, trying to press us relatively high. But first, as I say, the first sort of 20 minutes, it was really good football from City, and it obviously resulted in us going 1-0 up, and deservedly so. Lovely finish by Haaland. He apparently doesn't turn up in big games. I believe that's now his third goal against Arsenal, is it? So make of that what you will. But yeah, I was really happy with that, of course. And then basically what happened was Rodri got injured. No idea what the injury is. Hopefully he's all right, of course. Well, that remains to be seen. It didn't look good. It was a no contact one, wasn't it? He just like was running and then he fell over. So people are suspecting it might be an ACL. If it is, that's horror, of course. Wishing him a speedy recovery, of course. Hopefully it's something not as serious. He was on the bench in the second half. I don't know if that means anything. I've no idea. Make of that what you will. If anyone has any insider information on that, let me know. But essentially, from the point at which Rodri got injured, we lost our way for the remainder of that first half, I think. Well, not all of it, but quite a lot of it. Obviously, we looked a lot worse when Rodri came off. But it is a little bit worrying how the level of difference when he came off. And thereafter, obviously, Arsenal went on to score 2 more goals, which is very concerning that we looked so good and, as I say, so brilliant in those first 20 minutes. So it was. I think it's the best we've started against Arsenal for a long time. It was brilliant, as I say. We could have been a couple goals up. I remember that Gundogan on the volley got it horribly wrong, but there were a couple of really good moments in that game. And yeah, Savio was absolutely brilliant, as I say, for that first goal. I thought I was screaming, play him in, and ultimately he did. And then Haaland, yeah, it's a perfect finish. And yeah, as I say, Savio did Calafiori, so fantastic there. And yeah, and from there, for the most part, after that Rodri injury, it wasn't really good enough from a City perspective, to be honest with you. I was really unhappy. We lost our supreme control of the game. I still think we were still in charge, in control for the majority of it, but nowhere near to the same degree, nowhere near as comfortable. Down saying Rodri out for months. Mustard says Rodri is holding his hamstring. Yeah, so all we can do is speculate. Hopefully more information comes out tomorrow or the day after. Hopefully that's a thing. But we don't know. If he's out, then it's disastrous, and I don't really know what happens, to be honest. Gundogan's going to have to become Rodri, you'd suppose. Maybe we explore the market in January. I don't know. That remains to be seen, of course. Yeah. I was really disappointed with Gabriel's goal because it was the second corner of the game, I think. And from the first goal, I was amazed that wasn't a goal because I was looking at it. I was like, right, well, Doku's picking up Gabriel here. They're going to score here. We've all seen what Gabriel can do at set pieces. Surely, I know we don't really do man mark. I don't believe we tend to do man marking at corners anyway. But can we, like, for a change, just like maybe stick Ruben Diaz on him or something? Why is Doku on him? And then, unsurprisingly, he wins the ball and he doesn't score. He should score. Massive warning, massive let off for City. I couldn't believe it. I was like, well, that should have been a goal. And then you get a corner in like the 45th minute or whatever, and it's the exact same thing. Which we just don't appreciate the threat of Gabriel. It was really unusual. And Arsenal were leading at half time. Very as I say, really frustrating ends to that first half, because Musa says Walker looking at Saka instead of Gabriel during the corner. Yeah, so and Pep said after that, well, Doku was on him for the first corner, and that was clearly bad. Oh yeah, you don't say. So we made it so Walker was on him instead. Now, why is that the logic? Why is the logic to stick Kyle Walker on him, who, I'm sorry, for the past year or so is notorious in respect of dropping off RE concentration? Why don't we put our best box defender on him, like Ruben Diaz maybe? Wouldn't that make more sense? Very confusing. Very confusing. Hello Hilton, you can stick whoever on him. I don't know if you noticed, nobody stopped Gabriel physically. Sure, but you see my point, Hilton. Surely it makes more sense to stick Diaz on him than Doku or Walker, surely. So, frustrating. Ederson not strong enough from the corner either. I'm not having it. It's a foul. Weak. It's weak from Ederson. Should do better, to be honest. Talk about Walker for the first goal, says Musty. Right, yeah. Now, on that first goal, I was incredibly critical of Walker, because I was like, the goals come from your side, what are you doing? In fairness to him, it seems that he was put in a pretty tricky position by the referee, who asked him to come over and have a chat, and then he didn't get into his... and he wasn't able to get into his position before the ball was kicked. I don't know if I should be blaming Walker for that. I actually don't know. Certainly, I'm less harsh on him than I was previously. It's a wonder goal, by the way, from Calafiore. Like, it's an unbelievable strike. I don't even know how you begin to contemplate taking that shot as a defender. It's a really beautiful goal. It was so lovely as well, because it hit the side netting as well. It was just really fantastic. Pep shocking today, says Staffy. Well, what we did today, so as I say, we started Walker, and my question was always the question for me was always going to be, well, what are we going to do in the midfield then? Because normally Rico would have been a right back, going to the midfield, etc., etc. But it was Gvardiol, so Gvardiol did the Lewis role. He was like pushing up into like the left central midfield areas. Don't really know how he performed in that first. I thought it was all right, to be honest. I still probably would have preferred Rico Lewis doing it. I think that would have been the first time Gvardiol would have been given that role, and I think he can do that, but it seems to me a bit... reckless isn't the right word, but I don't think it's optimal to start experimenting in massive... in like, you know, one of your biggest games of the season against, you know, who you assume is going to be the main title rival, as that's a thing. Excuse me. What else happened in that first half? Only person in Walker's back pocket is himself. Yes, so I mean, we'll get on to the second half. Goodness me. Goodness me. Bernardo was very good in that first half, I thought, harsher. Again, I thought that for the first sort of like 20 minutes, I thought City were brilliant. So it's really frustrating that the injury just killed us. And what's even more frustrating is that an injury killed us. That shouldn't be a reason to massively drop off. I don't really care. I don't really care what the situation is there. One player shouldn't totally, regardless of how important they are, shouldn't totally change like the state of the game. So that was really frustrating. Trossard then got sent off, didn't he? And as I can tell, it was a fair enough sending off. He kicked the ball. He was... If I'm an Arsenal fan, I'm very, very, very annoyed at Trossard. He got 2 yellows in what, the space of like 20 minutes, or 2 yellows in the space of 30 minutes. It's incredibly careless from him, and it is a second yellow, and it just seems very silly to do that. Genuinely though, from my perspective, I was annoyed that he got sent off, because that just... It reinforced to the nth degree what Arsenal were going to do in that second half. So it just made the low block even more compact and even deeper, and I think it instilled maybe even more of a siege mentality of, right, now, especially because it came just before halftime. If it happened sort of like, you know, the start of the second half, maybe it's a different story because there isn't the opportunity to reset. you know, in the dressing room and that sort of thing. So again, as far as I can tell, it should have been a red card. That's the thing. The second half, so first of all, credit to Arsenal, who nearly did a brilliant job in terms of keeping City out. Obviously, City scored, but credit to them, they did all they could. They had 10 men. They knew exactly what they had to do, and they nearly executed it very well. So fair play to them. They're totally within their rights to play like that, of course. If they want to defend, they can defend. That's their prerogative, and it was the right decision to do that, because you were never going to... It would have been mental to not play like that against City for 45 minutes. So if anyone's having to go with Arsenal for defending, I don't think that's really fair. I was more so therefore the impetus becomes right. So we know how Arsenal are going to play that second half, regardless of the red card. Never mind with it. So the question then becomes, how do you go about dealing with what you know Arsenal are going to be in that second half? And from my perspective, the best thing you can do as City is get long shot specialists outside the box, because there is going to be no space for anything, basically. If you put crosses into the box, unless they are low, fizzed in quickly, it's useless. The amount of times that Bernardo Silva, by the way, I love Bernardo Silva, but he's finished as a right winger. He must never, I never want him to play there again. He's got to play centrally. Out right wing, no. Not a thing. Make sure we're leaving a like on the video, by the way, guys. Also, rate this lovely new top that I'm wearing. No one's commented on it yet. It's outrageous behaviour. This is new and everything. I bought it, it's just for the stream. I didn't, that's a lie. But so what you have to do is, and Fact Checker says it, absolutely perfect game for De Bruyne. And it's also another reason why it's so frustrating Rodri went off, because that's Rodri is a long shot specialist as well. Foden, long shot specialist. As it turns out, Gvardiol is also a long shot specialist. Now, from minute 45 through to 70, we had one true specialist. And is even... Specialist is too strong a word for Gvardiol, I think. Very good outside the box, especially as a defender. That's what Gvardiol is. So we had one on the pitch in Gvardiol. And he had, I think, 2 shots, and for both of them, forced saves from Raya. Now, there were saves I expect him to make, but at least he was getting the shot off. Not only off, but also actually on target, and also actually not just into a defender. So what City did, as I say, from minute 45 to 70, I would love to know, I might go back and check this out, I would love to know how many left-footed shots Ruben Diaz had in that second half, or how many times Walker decided this is going to be a great time for me to have a shot, or even a Kanji. It was insane. I just couldn't believe it. It made no sense for us, because again, we were never going to be able to play through. I know, like, some people say on Twitter, "Oh, perfect game for De Bruyne. He's to unlock them." There's nothing to unlock. Nothing is happening there because of how many bodies were back. So the only way that we were going to score was something like, you know, winning a penalty, or a ricochet, or a low cross from out wide after a winger's beaten their man, or, more likely, shot from outside the box. Now, again, Walker had 4 shots from outside the box, says Jack. Now, again, so to me, it seems like the best solution is surely to get your long shotters on the pitch, essentially. But again, or at least of the one you have, which turned out to be Gvardiol, give him the ball more. Arsenal do not care if Walker is about to have a shot on the edge of the box, because it's Walker. They don't care if Ruben Diaz is going to shoot with his right foot, never mind his left foot. Okay? I'm staggered that it took until the 75th minute, or 70th minute, whenever it was, for Foden to come on. I don't know why Savio was taken off. And even when Foden did come on, Pep instructed him to not even go into those areas where he's able to do what he did so well last season. It was really weird. It was still coming to Kovacic and Diaz and Akanji at times. It was really weird. It wasn't until like the 89th minute that Pep realised that what he did was wrong and instructed, and then said, right, okay, if I actually go here and Kovacic, you go here. And then it worked. And then we actually ultimately scored a goal from it. I just don't know why it took us to the 89th minute to realise that that should have been the case. It was very confusing. Foden's playing with his back to goal, setting up Diaz on his left foot. I absolutely spot on, and I don't know why. Because he's not doing that for the sake of it. Like, Foden's not just gone, I'm going to stand here for vibes. And Kovacic isn't going, I'm going to stand here, and Diaz, I'm going to stand here. Pep's told him to go there. So in my opinion, Pep got that wrong. And it was just like almost, well, over 40 minutes of not a lot or nothing. Just a massive waste of time. What we should have done was, and this isn't the case of hindsight, this is just the case of everyone knew at the time, like, this is what must happen. We had to bring on Foden, and we had to get him into those positions, and genuinely, I wouldn't have minded if we actually technically played Foden at right back and took Walker off of Foden, because Arsenal were never going to actually threaten at all, and obviously they didn't in the entirety of that second half, because why would they? Because all they want to do is defend. Again, they're entitled to do that. It just made no sense to me. Rodri going off capitulated that, because once again, he's a massive long shot threat. It was really, really odd. An odd decision. Again, I will say that I got confused by Pep's lineup, but it worked. It worked. But then the substitutions confused me. I think Grealish coming on was good, because we all know what Grealish can do, and I think that he was pretty dangerous when he came on, in fairness. Personally, I think taking Savio off was a mistake. I think that having Bernardo out at right wing was... He lasted the full 90 minutes as well, didn't he, Bernardo? And that was perplexing. Because again, he's not doing anything at right wing. Not against this deep low block. Or low block, whatever you want to call it. Odd. We got the goal, though, of course, through John Stones. Very happy for Stones, by the way. I love him. Big season for him, Stones. Big season for a couple of City players. So he's got to have a good one. So really happy that he got the goal. I think on balance, I think that if you're trying to look at this game as objectively as possible, I think a draw is probably the most fair reflection of the game, I think. Probably. Maybe more like 1-1 than 2-2, but I think a draw is probably fair and reasonable. No news on Roger. I imagine he's going to be having a scan tomorrow or something. I expect and I imagine. I would expect and imagine. I'd love to hear Pep's thought process of how he came to a conclusion that Walker and Diaz need to be our shooters. Yeah, exactly. It makes no... Because we know where the space is going to be, and the space is going to be on the edge of the box. So why not position those players on the edge of the box so they have the chance to do that? Because because the thing is, even if, let's say, for example, let's take Gvardiol, because he was on the pitch for the entirety of the game, wasn't he? Now everyone knows that Gvardiol is a threat from outside the box. So if you pop Gvardiol in the positions that Ruben Diaz was picking up, all of a sudden, two things can now happen. Two things have been unlocked. Either Arsenal continue to not worry about that player taking the shot, because when Ruben Diaz had a shot on his left foot, who gives a shit, to be honest? It's either going wide or over, or it's going to hit an Arsenal player. You don't care. So now Gvardiol's on the ball. So he's going to be a goal threat, or directly, or him picking up the ball in those areas now panics Arsenal, and they go to engage. So if Gvardiol isn't able to get a shot off, suddenly, now space has opened up. And that's really the only way you're going to be able to get any space in those moments. As it was, you know those like NBA memes where it's like, I think it's like, you know, Ben Simmons is out on like the 3 line, and it's a guy who can't shoot from distance, basically, in basketball. And they just give him all the time in the world because they know that he's no threat. It was the exact same situation. It was like last season, you know, when it was like Gavardio out at left wing at times, and they were like, yeah, cross the ball, whatever, we're not really that concerned about you. And same with Bernardo out at right wing today. Yeah, we don't really care that you're out there. Like, why should we? So it was really confusing, and it just seemed so obvious that the play was to take off a defender, bring on an attacker, because Arsenal couldn't get out, nor did they really want to get out. So you didn't even need the defenders. It's a thing. Excuse me. Oh, gosh. So, yes. A very, very frustrating. I have no idea about the Rodri injury. I've literally no inside information at all. No idea. We'll have to wait and see on that. It's all speculation at this point. We'll have to wait for scans, won't we? Hopefully it's not terrible, but again, if he is out for a significant period of time, I do think we will have to pursue a signing in January. I don't think that we can go, you know, if it's like a season-ending injury, for example, we obviously can't go the whole season without him. So we would have to address that, especially only, 6 games in, 5 games in, however many games we played. We'd obviously have to address that. Hopefully it's nothing serious, and hopefully he's, you know, back in a, I don't even know how long. That's sort of like an overriding assessment of the game. There were some, again, I feel like Pep made some mistakes. The lineup, the starting lineup, sorry, I'm not overly arsed about. I still think Walker shouldn't have started. I still would have preferred Lewis on. I can understand why Walker started, because in theory, he's more defensively sound. Now, in 2024, that's not the case. Gosh, excuse me, sorry. That's obviously the thinking. And the thinking probably also would have been Martinelli, pacey player, does well when there's lots of space in transition, have Walker as the person to deal with him. Obviously, that didn't really pan out, ultimately. Again, I can understand why he started. I still would have started Lewis. It allows Lewis to go more into midfield. You don't have to let Gavardio do that. Again, new role for him. Do you really want to be experimenting right now? I'm not so sure. The main issue for me was, as I say, the response in the second half. Staggered, there were no halftime changes. Staggered, it took until the 70th minute for Foden to come on. And then, even when he came on, it took a further 20 minutes for Pep to actually put him into a position which made sense. It was again, very unusual. I can't even... I don't know what the thought process was. Is there anything else that I generally want to talk about before we just like go to like a conversation with the chat? Anything else? I don't even know what that means for the league table. Oh, we're still top of the table, which is nice. That is nice. Yeah, I don't know how many likes we have, but yeah, lads. Over 200 people watching, and not even over 100 likes. Come on, guys. Let's get to 150 likes. Get it up, yeah. Get it up, yeah. Come on. Yeah, so we are still top of the table, in fairness. We do go away to Newcastle next. That's going to be a big game, and again, it's going to be even bigger if we have... Well, I mean, it's Watford in the League Cup, but that's going to be a tricky game, especially if there is no Rodri. Then home against Fulham, away against Wolves, home against Southampton. So not the trickiest fixtures coming up throughout September and October. It gets a bit stickier in November when we play Spurs and Liverpool early December. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens there. Indeed, Musty, yes. What do you think about Gundogan this game? Asks Fuskan. I thought he was all right. I thought he was fine. Yeah, it was good. It was not. Is maybe good's too strong words. I thought it was fine. I just thought that Bernardo shouldn't have been on the pitch for the entirety of the game. I didn't think that made any sense. As I've discussed, Foden should have come on a lot earlier. Newcastle 5 points total suggest Bailey, hopefully, but lest we forget... lest we forget that, you know, City don't do well on counter-attacks, and I expect that's how Newcastle will be playing, so we'll have to see what happens there. I think we need to act more fast. We should pass faster. Says Kim. Is it because how City fought parts of bad without Rodri? Night and day difference. That's what I was saying earlier, Frisbee. Like, the injury killed us, and it shouldn't have done. It shouldn't have done, and yet it did. We just lost... We just lost our absolute authority on the game. I still thought that we had, you know, the majority of the authority, control, whatever term you want to use in that first half. But I agree. It wasn't really good enough in that respect. And we need to learn to... It's such a shame because we started the season so strongly playing without him. And here we are now. Here we are now. And Mars, I actually have no idea. I've got no idea now. I don't know. But yes, if it's a long-term injury, I feel like that is an area we must address. Bob will hopefully come back in the new year. Yep, absolutely. That would be lovely, wouldn't it? The chaotic shithouses at the end was fun. Hauling 100th goal top of the table and beating record at home still intact. Low blocks suck, says Gent. Yeah, I guess in terms of, like, you know, outcome... In terms of outcome, this isn't the worst result, of course, because I would personally, I still think, you know, Sergio Gomez, shut up, Musty. I still think, you know, this game hasn't changed my mind in terms of who I think is going to win the title. I still think City win the title. I'm not really overly concerned about that. Again, it's still early days. A draw would, I think a loss, losing today wouldn't have been necessarily bad for from like a City perspective, because I still think that in terms of like a points difference, what would they have been? Would they have been 2 points ahead? What is it? Is that what it would have been? I think so. Yeah, I think that's right. I think for me it would be more about the... I think if Arsenal would it, then maybe they would have had sort of like... They'd have like overcome that mental barrier, if that makes sense, of beating City at home, but I also think just like, and I appreciate that Arsenal won that 1-0 at the Emirates last season, but we all know that that was a 0-0 game. We all know that. So I think that this would have been a massive marker because this was a very, very different performance, I feel like. So the fact they didn't win is a big boost, I think, for City from that mental perspective, because I think there still will be that little nagging thing of we weren't able to do it. Maybe I'm reading too much into that, but that's how I interpret that. Oh, you respect YouTube, Liam. Leave likes on the videos on the video, by the way, guys. No rushing, no control, says Mikey. That's what I said, Erin. That's what I said. I think it was how everything unfolded. They clearly came with a game plan to kick him over the gaff and we didn't respond to it very well, says Jason. I don't know if that was like a game plan. It was a non-contact injury, wasn't it? Hopefully he's all right. Walker shouldn't start. Not in tricky games, I agree. I agree. Here to there says the league will come down to if Arsenal can generate enough in attack to avoid drawing too many matches. Yeah, and we know that Arsenal are very good defensively. I guess what I would say is that at least, you know, last season we didn't score any. This season we scored 2. So, you know, progress, guys, progress. Maybe that's the way to look at it. I don't know. Your signs are many because of the Rodri injury watch. I doubt that, Liam. I feel when I revert back to Foden as a winger, Gvardiol pushing high and wide with a double pivot, the days of width being fried by 2 actual wingers could be numbered now. I don't think so, Chris, in fairness. And because, again, we started that game well, and we started that game, the game plan was really nice. I liked how Savio and Doku, it was ridiculous how wide they were relative to Arsenal's fullbacks. It was causing all sorts of damage. I quite liked that. I quite like that, to be honest. Kyle Walker needs to leave City as the football has left him. It left him last season. Let's be honest. I've now got to the point where we need to just get rid of him. I was like, oh yeah, maybe keep him around and he can just like be involved in the squad. I just think that he's actually just holding us back now at this point. Because if he's like involved in the squad, then that means someone else isn't playing instead, who could be actually contributing. So I think that the time is now for Walker to leave City, for us to get rid of him, move on, and we need to, we just need to get past that, because even if we take out like that defending for the second goal, it just his game overall was just poor, really. I expect him to do that, transition defending, and the very little he has to do in that second half. It's very, very basic stuff, though. Yeah, that's a thing. Rico, I know Rico's been good for Roger. He's out long term. Maybe have Stones come in for Rico and bring him back into midfield. Oh, what? So Rico in midfield? I don't know. I think we need something. No, yeah, that'd be crazy. He was Troy. He was, and we were saying that earlier. That why not get him into more of those areas? If it involves, taking Diaz off and putting Gvardiol in Diaz's position, because Diaz kept shooting on his left foot because there was no angle for the right foot. He's left-footed and he's actually good from shooting outside the box. Gvardiol, just I didn't really understand. City provided Holland only one single ball to attack the entire second half, and he won the aero duel and forced a solid save, yet Pep refuses to utilise that consistently. Well, the crossing was poor in that second half. That was the thing. The crossing was poor. The only crosses that were going to ever work, because you could say he won the aerial, but as I recall, the save was pretty tepid. Or rather, the shot was pretty tepid. It's going to be nearly impossible for him to beat Gabriel and Saliba in the air and then beat Raya and have a good contact on the header. So I don't really like the idea of spamming more crosses. High crosses anyway. Low crosses are fine because they can like ricochet and go anywhere, and then you can like win the second ball. Think we'll see a safer midfield setup, something like Gundo Kovacic to potentially sign an emergency 6 as cold. Let's see, or maybe we'll just do what we did pre-Roger and just like have Kovacic there out and out. I don't know. It is indeed hard to cross. It's hard to cross aerial as well. That's the thing. There's a difference between crossing low and fast. That's what Grealish did a couple of times. Again, that causes chaos. Conversely, Bernardo Silva on the right, floater, left footer, Raya just comes to claim it, falls to the ground, wastes another 30 seconds or so. It was staggering how much time we wasted in that second half just by not doing anything with the ball. It was very annoying. Really, really annoying. Jeremy says, I didn't like Gvardiol playing as the 8. He can't play back to go on tight space. It's something Lewis is more suited for. Yeah, it's a shame. I'll have to play catch up. Missed your stream. Then I can't have that. I believe it was a bit silly game one where another. Joy of joys, hope you are. Oh, well, I'm doing very well, thank you. Nunes, shut up. Set piece defense was shocking. Yeah, I agree. Troy wasn't good enough. Gorish said they should arrange to rig things against City. Sorry, I don't know what that means, Tiara. Us being smelly crosses does not help as well. Indeed. It's not ideal, is it? Yeah. We tried to put Savio on the left, but I can't even really remember him putting any crosses in from that left side. And then it seemed like a wasted exercise, and then we took him off. It was very unusual. Very unusual. I know Bernardo Silva had like a good 20 or so minutes, but he shouldn't be starting. I don't think he should be starting these big games anymore. Certainly not from the right. Certainly not the right. I'm certainly not the expense of Foden. Absolutely. That's the majority of teams, Judine. I'd say the same about Arsenal. They were very quiet in that second half, and they were quiet in the first 20 minutes. Savio's great. Hello? Savio had a good game. Right, okay. Now, I don't really get this. If someone can please explain it to me, that would be wonderful. So, as you do, I went on Twitter after the game. there are people who are suggesting that it was Arsenal who were most hard done by the ref. Now, I don't think I've once on this entire stream complained about the bad refereeing that took place in that game, specifically against City. Now, why don't I do that? Because it's not helpful or interesting to discuss bad refereeing decisions. Because guess what? You should be able to do better. You should be able to figure it out yourself. This is why when it was like the fucking Spurs game last year and Grealish was sent through one-on-one and the referee didn't play advantage, you didn't hear me once crying about it on streams because that wasn't an interesting point of discussion. We should have done better in the game and we shouldn't have conceded 3 goals against Spurs and we should have been more clinical. It's boring talking about refereeing decisions. It's not helpful or interesting or insightful. But in my head, I think a lot of things, of course. And in my head, I was thinking, this is horrendous refereeing, and I can't believe how hard done by City have been in this game. Now, that was in my head. And I'm not going to tweet about that, and I didn't even want to raise it today, because again, it's not interesting or reasonable. Like, City should have done better. It's nothing to do with the referee. Do better. Maybe like Pep should set the team out better in the second half and do better. Why are Arsenal fans talking, or some Arsenal fans, or just some, actually I'm not even going to say, some football fans, saying that apparently we robbed them? What? Did no one watch the second half or the entirety of it? The amount of time, the amount of cheating that was literal, the amount of literal cheating that was happening in respect of players feigning injury and time wasting. And I think an Arsenal player got booked for telling another player to go down. In the 46th minute, Raya claimed a cross and fell over. That fell down. Now, that's something that you do in the 90th minute, not the 47th or 46th, whenever it was. I could even talk about the first goal, where Walker, he came out and said this. He was like, well, the referee called me over to have a chat. I'm in midfield. I'm going back to my position. I haven't yet got to my position, but he's allowed them to take a quick free kick. That's why Walker was so annoyed at the referee afterwards. So I could talk about that for days, but it's not helpful to talk like that. The amount of like other players that should have got booked. The amount of gamesmanship and literal cheating that was happening. I'm sorry, but if you are feigning, I have literally never seen. In all my years of watching football, I've never seen this happen. If a player goes down for like cramp or whatever, or you know, they just like go down off the ball, the referee without fail always stops the game. Always. Bar none. I've never seen it where like, you know, like you've got the ball, there's not a dangerous attack going on. If there's a dangerous attack, it's a different story. If it's just like, you know, general play. I can't recall who it was, but the player went down and the referee told him to get up because it was like the 6th time or the 6th different player who had done that. And then later, very confusingly, it actually went towards Arsenal's box and then the referee stopped it. So very unusual there. The referee decided, no, I'm not going to stop the game. I've had enough. You're clearly taking the piss. And then, no, actually, I'm going to stop it. But I don't want to talk about any of that shit. I'm only addressing it because I feel like I've had to talk about it. Martinelli. And then Martinelli started running. So he was fine. And then he went down again. Now that is cheating. And the referee should have done better there. So this idea that City robbed, I actually can't believe the cheek to suggest that. That is maddening to me. It was a yellow card on Trossard. Get over it. And I'm sorry, I probably would have rather Trossard stay on the pitch because then maybe in the second half, at least maybe it would have been a bit more adventurous and maybe we can actually have a bit more space to work with. It's not even just Arsenal fans who are saying this. It's like, I think someone said like a United fan said it, a Liverpool fan said it, etc., etc. It's really concerning that this is the level we're at now. This is the level we're at now, where That's the main talking point. And it's already like this, the excuse is ready made. I'm sorry, but that is a massive victim mentality. To think that the whole world is going against you when it's not. It's not. The decision was the decision. And even if it wasn't a just decision, and it was, get over it. There's a game of football to be played. It's almost like you can't drop points nowadays without people crying about the referee. Like, get over yourself. And this isn't just about today. This is just generally. Just get over it. Unless there's some sort of ridiculous, egregious, I don't even know, like the referee's punched a player. Just get over it, and you've got 90 minutes to try to win the game or do something in the game. I can't believe the amount of, as I say, victim mentality. And guess what? That feeds into the players. You better believe it, because the amount of, at the Etihad today, the amount of Arsenal fans chanting and crying about that, you better believe that feeds into the players on the pitch. Do you think that fosters a good mentality, a title-winning mentality? I personally, remains to be seen, I personally don't think it does. We'll see what we see on that. If someone wants to actually try to explain to me and justify the complaining, please go ahead. Because I actually can't believe it. I actually cannot believe it. You can't say it's because you're a City fan and things never go against you. Are you okay? Did you watch that second half? Did I not just explain the first goal? Wolves last season when the goal scorer should have been sent off. Spurs last season where Grealish was through 1v1. Liverpool last season where, I'm sorry, Alisson was not fouled. How many times did I complain about that? Zero. Fuck all times. Mate, if you're been on this channel a long time, maybe if you got it in your head that decisions never go against City, it's because I don't complain about it, I don't cry about it, and I move on and I talk about the fucking game and the tactics and what could have helped. Go watch my Spurs analysis video. Go see how many times I reference the fact that Grealish was sorry, the fact that the referee stopped Grealish going through. I didn't do it once. I talked about the goals that we conceded. I talked about the chances we weren't able to score. That's the point. The amount of times that things have gone against City. But I don't complain about it. We move on. It happens all the time. Now, maybe it's just because you haven't paid attention, but it happens all the time. Even in games where we win, and maybe you didn't watch the game, so maybe you didn't know. It happens all the time. Move on. Stop crying and complaining about it. And maybe that won't fester into the team as well. Where it clearly, it clearly has. It's very frustrating. No, but Jay, you don't understand the point I'm making. It's not about, and you've fallen into the trap there. It's not the case of, oh, my team's more hard done by than yours. It's like, grow up and move on. There's a game of football to be had. If you're having to rely on the referee, all you can do is control the controllables. And I'm sorry, but Trossard should have been sent off today anyway. So I can't even believe that we are talking about this. It's annoyed me that I've had to bring it up and talk about it. And I don't want to talk about the bad things that happened to City today. The amount of Arsenal players that should have been booked today for time wasting. And then you think about, well, maybe a second yellow or whatever. The amount of literal cheating that was happening today in terms of players feigning injury. Get on with it. Win the game. Score the goal. Thankfully, that's exactly what we did. But the main issue, for me, in that second half, wasn't what Arsenal did. It wasn't what the referee did. It was the fact that, in my opinion, Pep failed his team. And Pep didn't put his players into the right positions on the pitch. And that is why, in my opinion, that didn't happen. It's a thing. Yeah, it's very weird, Tiara. Very weird indeed. People are unusual, I will say that much. As I say, people like to complain. I think it's because people don't like to... people don't like to accept that maybe... the team could have done more. They just don't want to take the responsibility. But there we go. It's a thing. Michael offers to put some pocket this. Yeah, it's crazy. Again, I didn't want to talk about it. If we do have to talk about it, I'm sorry, but City got more bad decisions against them today than Arsenal. That I can't believe it's a talking point. It's also comical when they were dropping like flies and their fans chanting, yeah. I couldn't tell if they were talking about us or they were ironically talking about them. It was amazing. It was actually staggering. It was staggering. What was your Calafiore quote? Referees have to do their job to keep the game good to watch. This kind of action, they don't have to put themselves too much. Ref has to keep the game fun. Again, it was a second yell at you. He booted the ball away. Like, once again, if I'm an Arsenal fan, I'm thinking, what are you doing? Trossard, what are you doing? Why are you being an idiot? Don't give the... Whatever you think about it, don't give the referee a chance to do anything. What's going on? That would be the thing that I would say as an Arsenal fan, and that's what I do when it's City players wearing that boot, whether phrase I'm trying to come up with there, when the shoe's on the other foot, etc., etc. Again, it's just not helpful. And if you consistently go in a cycle of, oh, we drop points again, and it's not our fault, and it's because the world's against us, and blah 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 blah. It just leads into a permanent cycle of continually playing the victim and never actually achieving anything. You will never achieve anything by having that attitude. We'll see what happens at the end of the season. But again, I think introspection from a lot of football fans. Ask other questions before crying referee. You know, it's a thing. Here's the thing. Once again, even if you've been hard done by, all you can do is control the controllables, right? If the first words out of your mouth are, we were robbed by the referee every single time you drop points, maybe it's a you problem. Right? Maybe you're seeing injustice where there isn't. Or maybe you just need to get over yourself. Maybe that is the situation. Maybe that is the situation. Maybe that's the situation. Do we have any more questions or thoughts on today's game, chaps? Anything else to discuss? Just having a look at the lineup, just see if I can be inspired to talk about anyone in particular. What's this game told me? What have I learned from this game? What have I gathered? Savio's great. Savio's lovely. Haaland showing up in a big game, as he normally does, to be fair. He's normally very good in these games. It's a weird myth that he doesn't play well in these games. Doku, I was a little bit disappointed in Doku, I feel like. I don't know. I feel like there weren't enough, he wasn't really winning enough 1v1s for my liking. But I thought, yeah, you know, Bernardo Silva, fine first half. No idea how he lasted the entire game. Ederson was poor. Yeah, again, he's too weak for that. He's too weak for that Gabriel goal. I'm sorry. He's too weak. I'm confused about our defending at corners. Walker shouldn't play at this level anymore in these important games. Grealish was actually good when he came on, to be fair. I thought Grealish was nice. Looking to make things happen. Surprising, because he doesn't normally thrive in games where there's a massive low block. So, fair play. It's another good game for Grealish. You know, if you like Grealish, and I like Grealish a lot, it's a good season so far for him. It's a good season so far. Pep realised his error in sort of like the 89th minute when he swapped Foden and Kova. Thankfully, it wasn't too little too late. But again, had he done that at the start of the second half, is it a different conversation? Is it a different conversation? Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. Rodri, yeah, we've got to hope he's all right. From an Arsenal perspective, obviously, I thought that their back four was very good for the most part. I know Calafiore got the goal, and it was a very nice goal. We did get caught out a fair few times. Saliba and Gabriel had to sort of bail him out a little bit. Timber looks nice. I think Timber looks nice. I didn't see enough of Saka because obviously only the first half. And here's a mental stat. I don't... Is this real? I'm just going to check. I saw this on Twitter. Yeah. Right, mad. 2 Arsenal players didn't complete a pass. That's insane, isn't it? Now, whatever you want to read into that, that's fine. I just think that's a mental stat. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Where when was the last time a player didn't make a pass? And they played the game, didn't they? Well, Havertz was on the pitch the whole time. Timber made it to the 90th minute. How was that even possible? When was the last time that's happened? It's happened twice. There were 2 players. That is insane. Who got the most passes then? That'd be interesting. How do I find that out? I'd like to know who got the most passes for Arsenal. I imagine it'd be Sleeper or Gabriel, maybe. 21. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's mad. Timber, 0 out of 6 accurate passes. Again, I'm assuming most of those are punts. Havertz. But Havertz flicks it on a couple of times, I'm sure. Does that not count as a pass if you flick it on with the header? I thought he did that. Maybe I'm wrong. That's crazy. Havertz had more accurate shots than passes. What a mental stat that is. Has that ever happened in football ever? Where someone plays the entirety of the game and they have more shots than passes? That's mad. Madness. And 0 passes as well. Crazy. Mad. I might rate Bernardo Silva now. Why is he glazing us in interviews? Why? What's he said? What's he said? Grealish should have started, says Zach. Maybe. That's what I mean, Daniel. Yeah, it's very annoying. And I said that at the time. I was like, well, Gabriel's clearly free here. Why is Doku on him? It was really weird. Yeah, Havertz and Timber, yeah, crazy. It's just an interesting stat, I guess. It doesn't really mean anything. When their children has more yellows than miss. Yeah, well, correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, I've never heard of this chap. Miles Lewis Skelly, was it? Was he the one that got booked because he told Raya to go down or something? So he told him to cheat. Hello, Jeremy. I'm not biggest fan of Jack as novice, but he came in clutch as for Doku. He was disappointing. And that's all right. Doku can't have a good game all the time. Grealish just happened to have a good one. He said the difference between title race with Liverpool and Arsenal is that we'd already won everything and Arsenal haven't, and that we played with the intention to win. Sure, yeah. And again, if Arsenal win the title, then obviously that would change. But what I would say on that is, and I'm not having a go at Arsenal here because I think that they played decently today. Of course, their plan nearly worked in the second half. You know, they nearly kept us out. I guess all I would say is that, and I've echoed this for the last season or so, is that I can't be scared of Arsenal, and I won't be like truly scared of Arsenal until they win the title. I think, to be fair, and I think that's fair. Or they get high 90s points and still don't win the title, something like that. When that happens, then it'll be like, okay, Arteta's Arsenal. Now it's getting really serious. But until that happens, I can't really be scared of them in the same way that I was scared of Klopp's Liverpool, if that makes sense. So I can sort of understand where Bernardo's coming from in that respect. Walker's first step against Gabriel in that corner was forward. A disgrace of Cody. It's poor. But for his made Prem debut, sure, that's 1 in a million. ID says, shite performance from us today, and what makes it worse, we got undone by the centre-backs in a tired 10-man squad. Yeah, we've talked about it, ID. It wasn't good enough. Wasn't good enough that we capitulated when Rodri went off. Let's get it right. We were good in the first 20 or so minutes. We were very good. And we were dominating. But then, we could talk about defense being little girls and don't help out as when we surround it. I want to see that players defend the goalie at times. You just got to be stronger from that set piece, I guess. You just can't let Gabriel do you like that. You just can't. He's like the most dangerous, one of the most dangerous set piece, headers of the ball from corners. How do you feel about giving up a bit of control to intentionally incorporate more transitional football? Well, the issue with that, gents, is that was never an option today. There was no matter how we played today, there was never going to be a genuine option for consistent transitional moments. You could say that the Haaland goal sort of was because Calafiori stepped up and made an error there, but those are few and far between. It's very, very tricky to do that. If Arsenal won the league last year, I'd be afraid of them. The fact they've fallen short so many times, I just can't take them seriously. I genuinely don't see a reason why they're dead on for second, says Liam, who is a Liverpool fan, and that's what I mean. And if they win the title, or if they like win the next 20 in a row, and they do so obliterating their opponents, then I'll be like, okay, fairs. I'm paying attention, but until then, it's not a thing. The main issue from my perspective is that, if I'm going to do like a tactical analysis video on this, then I don't even know what the main storyline is, because you can't really analyse the second half outside of saying Arsenal defended, City didn't get their long shot specialists into the right positions, and they scored from like a second ball ricochet thing. That's all you can really say in the second. And in the first half, it's City was so much better with Rodri on, lost control when Rodri was off, didn't defend the set pieces. I don't know if, for me, I don't think today was interesting tactically, in my opinion. I think the red from that perspective, the red card ruined the game. So it would have been interesting to see how Arsenal would have set up in the second half, but for and City as well. What do you think about a left wing? Feels like Doku could have done more, maybe. But hey, Grealish came on, and I thought he did decent. I thought he did really good. So I'm really happy that Jack's having a good season. He's had a very good season so far, and actually, I would say that Jack's season so far has been up there with the start to his treble-winning season form. So I'm very happy about that. When there was our time, we won 27-27 at the start of the season, played every Big Six team in that run. They can't and won't do something like that, says Liam. I feel like it'll be a repeat of the 99-98 season with City winning by 1. It will feed generations. I hope so. Ultimate, yeah. Again, if maybe, I mean, this will be a big game, so like the big analysts will discuss this. So I don't even know if there's any point in me making a video. Maybe I will, I don't know. I just don't know how you can get that much analysis out of it. Out of what I just said there. Bit concerned the annihilation of Real Madrid and Arsenal at the Etihad towards the end of the 23 seasons, the last time City put a real contender to the sword. But it's a shame, Steve, because again, I think that we were on course for something like that. That's how the game started, and we were all over them. And we could have been 2-0 up, actually. And then we lost our way entirely, and that's not good enough from our perspective. We need to do better. Not that I'm aware of, Cody. We're just going to have to wait and see until tomorrow or the day after or whatever. As it is, looking at last season's special beginning of this season, Walker looks finished. Yeah. Now, there's also been a lot of, I think I largely agree with this. There's concerns have been raised about the physicality of our team. Maybe our midfielders in particular. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean in terms of strength. It's more so in terms of, I'd say, like maybe like covering distance, for example. Like covering space easily. Especially with Rodri out, that means that our midfield now is realistic. Gundogan, Kovacic, Bernardo Silva, Foden. Obviously Nunes, but I don't think Nunes is going to get a run centrally in the team. It does feel like we will need to reinforce if that injury is as bad as it seems. Saka and Martinelli playing today. Yeah, Saka obviously really good delivery for the corner. Outside of that, I can't remember him doing too much. Obviously went off at half time. Martinelli got an assist, to be fair. But yeah, outside of that, not too much. The stuff is bummed with the performance. I think City's the best team by more than they were last year. First time all season, Pep looked shaken or subpar. Indeed, Herb, that's why it was so frustrating. So frustrating. If Rodri's injury is serious, could see Arsenal closing the gap? Maybe, although again, we did play very well at the start of the season with Kova in there. But if we lose Rodri, I can't be bothered with that, man. I can't be bothered. Two seasons back to back, we just get screwed over by ridiculous injuries. We lost our best player for the half of last season. If we lose our most important player for like half a season or a third of the season or all the season, I just can't be bothered. Can we just have like a season where we don't have any mental debilitating injuries which last months at a time, please? Where it's to like key players who are clearly in our best 11. Can we not? Especially Rodri, who's literally irreplaceable. Irreplaceable. Not just in our squad, but in terms of the market generally. What do you think the starting 11 on Tuesday will look like considering this Rodri injury? I think that Kova will start, and maybe it'll be like maybe Gundogan will go back in there for support. I don't know. It's just a midfield of Kovacic, Gundogan, Bernardo Silva is not inspiring. Foden has to get in there, man. Oh, De Bruyne will be back hopefully. Foden's still got to get in there, man. Needs to happen. Kova Ballon d'Or. We did, Cody, but can we do it again? Can we do it again? I don't know if we can. I don't know if we can, to be honest. That'd be really... If he's out for like the whole season, I would have to reevaluate everything. I don't know what... I don't know what I'd think. I think if we can help it, we should draw teams out of low blocks super early on. Again, it's hard to do it against a team who's got no interest in doing that. No interest in doing that. And Arsenal were always going to be that team. It didn't matter if Arsenal had, Ødegaard today. It didn't matter if they had 11 men in that second half. We all knew how they're going to play. So it just wasn't going to be a thing. It's very, very frustrating. But a last-minute winner... Sorry, last-minute winner. Last-minute equaliser sometimes feels like a winner. And again, going back to what I was saying before, it's more about the fact that now Arsenal still haven't beaten us. I was going to say when we've been at full strength, but it's still not the case, is it? They've in my opinion, they've still not got over that hurdle, over the hump of that. So I think that could hopefully be good from a City perspective. Is there anything else that we would like to discuss today, chaps and chapettes? Let me know. I'm going to be on Mo's channel tomorrow, and I already... everyone, tune in tomorrow, 2 p.m, Judge Mo's channel. If the first question to anyone, when we go into City and Arsenal, if the first question is about the referee, I'm going to end my existence. I'm going to end it all. I can't be bothered with that. Please, can we talk about the football? Please. See, Holland after the Stones goal. Didn't he throw it at Gabriel's head or something stupid like that? Could Haaland even be kind of like Darwin and play not centrally? I think you need Haaland there to force the opposition back, to make space for the central players who can then get shots off. And that's the thing, guys. It worked. It worked. There was space there, but we were giving it to the wrong players. That's why it was so annoying. What was your take, mate? When's the last time City had so few actual scorers in the team? Just Haaland and Foden as attackers, says Steve. Well, there's also, De Bruyne, and there's also Gundogan. And I think Savio was a goal scorer. I know he hasn't scored for City yet, has he? But I think he is a goal scorer, in fairness. I don't know if that's correct. Discuss Pep, has he still got it? Of course. And look, he's still the best manager in the world, and in my opinion, the best in football history. Let's not get it twisted. But that's not the same as he is infallible and didn't make any errors. Whether you think he made an error in terms of the lineup, I don't know if that's necessarily the case, because again, it worked. But I do think he made errors in terms of the second half. And my take on Foden is that he brought Foden on with 20 minutes left. Ridiculous. Should have come on at half time. We wasted 25 minutes of that second half just aimlessly going side to side. Oh, Ruben Diaz weak foot shot. Oh, Walker shot. Waste of time. Brought Foden on. Great. Now I've actually got someone great at shooting from outside the box. It was 6 Premier League goals he got from outside the box last season. He's the guy to do it. So what do? We don't actually put him in the right positions to take those shots. And we ask him to just sit in the penalty box where nothing's going to happen because Arsenal aren't going to let it happen. And then in the 89th minute, then we decide to do it. And a few minutes later, we score. So, very weird. It better not be, Spartacus. It better not be. Or I'm going to kick off. I might leave. I might leave and be like, no, we're not doing this. No. Because then it's going to be like 30 minutes of that. And I'll just like, oh. Manchester Blue says, Arsenal don't have the best defensive team in the league. They have the best low block. Interesting. We have faced two of the best defences in world football in the past week or so, so hopefully it'll be a bit nicer going forwards. Should he have attacked the byline more? Yeah, I think Xavier should have stayed on. No, it's Foden 10 or 8. He doesn't really create. He creates if he's given the chance to do it. You've got to give him the chance to do it. I mean, it was obviously never going to happen in the second half when he came on because there was nothing to create. There was nothing to do. If De Bruyne was on that pitch, he wouldn't have been able to do anything outside of, like crosses from the right side. But he's not going to be able to slip anyone in like seamlessly because there's no space to operate there. You can cook Mo into have just shit themselves against AC Milan, have they? Have they actually? That would be quite funny, I guess. Yeah, shall I just like Uno reverse it and go, well, Mo, I think you'll find that your team lost and mine didn't, so hold that. Is that actually... Why is my keyboard not working? Hello? Inter. Let's have a look, see. Sorry, do I have to actually type in Internationale? Why aren't they coming up? What? Footmob? What you doing, mate? Fine, I'll go to the main page. God. Oh, wow, they actually have lost. 89th minute. Crazy. Gabia. I don't know who that is. Sends back. What a boy. Well done, mate. Pep is struggling to figure out how to break down low blocks or ultra low blocks. I don't know if I agree on that. The Inter game, for example. We created about 4 clear-cut opportunities in that second half. Foden, I think, should have scored. Gundogan certainly should have scored. At least 1, maybe even 2. So I don't know if I agree about the Inter game. In the Arsenal game, we did score a goal. The solution is obvious. Just get your distance shooters in those correct areas. How to get more out of our pacey wings in terms of actually scoring? Do you think it's the presence of Holland that's limiting them scoring more? As long as one of them's scoring, I don't really care, to be honest. I was livid that Diaz was our sole pivot for the whole of that second half. Also, City need to improve the corners, certainly defensively. We start scoring on corners more. We have some good tall players. Well, we were never going to beat Arsenal aerially today. Like, I did like the corners today. I did like how we just went short because we're never going to... Because Rai likes to come and claim crosses as well. We were never going to beat, Saliba and Gabriel and Calafiori and White, who was on the pitch at the time, and Rice and Partey and Havertz all in the air. They've got lots of very tall lads on that team. Something up with Foden. What? He's not even started a game this season. Are you okay? Hello? Are you okay? He must see our next season badly. Maybe he is a Kevin De Bruyne replacement. Maybe he is. Maybe he isn't. Maybe he isn't. See, Gasky, who's my podcast host, I said to him, I basically said to him, well, Knobcast returns on Tuesday, by the way, City United podcast. I said to him, am I being like mad? Because there's lots of fans who's suggesting that City robbed Arsenal, and he just went, how, ... So it isn't just me, thankfully. Someone who I know is rational and objective has concurred with me, which has made me feel more assured in that respect. We had to get up the speed. I don't know if that was the case today. I think it was just a case of not reacting well enough to Rodri's injury, not putting the right players in the right areas in the second half. Taking too long for that to happen as well. It's not good enough. Why did it take us 20 minutes to introduce someone who's good at shooting from outside the box? But he isn't fully fit. He was ill and injured. And he came on today with 20 minutes left and wasn't even being put in the right position. The info's top creative for some of his technical ability. I don't think he makes enough passes. It depends what you mean by because playmaking's more than just passing the ball, for example. Now, I do think that if you put him in the right areas, then yeah, absolutely he can do that. Can you do it to the level of De Bruyne? No, but no one can. But no, yeah, absolutely he can do that. He did it last season. Lads, do we have any more final questions? Let's get to 150 likes, guys. I just want 3 more likes, and I'll stop pestering you guys. Do we have anything else to add about City's performance today? Arsenal's performance, title race? Anything at all? Again, City are still in the lead, which is great. It's literally only 5 games in. We're literally only 5 games in, so it's not like you can really draw too much from that. We have scored the most goals, which is nice. We've also conceded 5, which is a bit of a shame that we've conceded that many. Liverpool have only conceded 1. Crazy. That is crazy. Lads, we don't have the best goal difference. Massive L. Liverpool are coming for our crown. No, not yet, Thomas. We are indeed in the lead. Just about. Big game coming up next, though. Big game coming up next. How are we going to play Watford on Tuesday? Well, I would expect Foden to actually start that game. So, have the first start of the season. I think that, McAtee will probably start. Maybe we'll play a false 9. I hope Haaland gets a rest. So maybe we'll go like false 9. Maybe Gundogan up there. Nunes will no doubt get a start. Maybe Nico O'Reilly. Maybe. I expect it to be highly rotated for sure. For sure. Bring your boots, you'll be in the starting 11. Oh, gosh. If we have to sign midfield in jam because of Rodri, who do I want? I don't even know, Ultimate. 100 goals, 105 games, says Brandholt. Yeah, that is madness. I don't actually know anymore. My number 1 pick is Bruno G, but that ain't ever happening. So I honestly do not know. So, see, massively disagree with this idea. Massively disagree with this. Last season... And there's been a weird thing going around recently. I feel like people have already forgotten last season happened. Weird. So last season, not you, ID, by the way. Not having to go at you. Just some people on Twitter who've decided that Foden doesn't create for Haaland. Weird. Also objectively incorrect. That's my catchphrase. Foden created over 3 expected assists for Haaland last season, but Haaland didn't score one of them of those 3 that he created for him. Foden got 5 second assists and 5 third assists. The second assist being like the pass before the assist, the third assist being a pass beforehand. So, for example, a great one is I was going to say the game against, but I've actually forgotten who it was against. It was a game where Nunes got an assist. Nunes crossed it for Haaland to head onto it. Does anyone remember that game? Again, I totally disagree, mate, and the stats disagree with you as well. Again, I'll repeat. 5 third assists, 5 second assists, 3 expected assists for Haaland. By the way, that 5 third and second, that's the biggest combination in the Premier League last season. Ain't no one beating that. So that's just, you can't, it's not really a thing to, it's not a thing for me to argue against. It's just wrong. Does anyone know the game I'm talking about? Nunes crossed it to Haaland, header. I don't know. But Foden played that ball through, and that's not an assist. Forest at home. Thank you, Sanjeev. Foden played that ball through for him, broke the lines, played to Nunes. Now, that won't count as an assist. It counts as a second assist, though. That's playmaking. That's creating. So, yes, he can do it. He has done it. He's proven he does it. I expect more from every player, ID, but it's weird for people to bring it out as like a stick to beat him with when it's again, it's not objectively correct to do it. It's wrong. The data literally proves it. My eyes last season illustrated that point as well. People have got this false dichotomy going on with some City fans when it comes to Foden. Oh, he's not as creative as De Bruyne, right? Who is as creative as De Bruyne? Name him, and don't say Messi. Name him. You can't. No one. Again, comparing him to De Bruyne, the best playmaker in the world, behind Messi, is bizarre to me. It's bizarre to me. It's bizarre. It's not, but Steve, it's not a case of one or the other. You can do both. Again, no City fan ever thought that Foden was a goal scorer before last season. That season should be applauded. He won player of the year, for Christ's sake. I can't believe we're actually having this conversation. And now people have decided that that's all he can do. And it's really weird. It's a really weird conclusion to reach. Because again, it's just wrong. It's not even worth talking about. It's just wrong. Weird. Right, guys. With that, we're going to head off. What? In the Newcastle game, he should have got, like, Haaland should have got at least 2 goals from Foden's passes. What are we doing here? What's going on? That was the game where Foden kept finding Haaland, and Haaland kept fluffing his lines. I'll repeat. Foden gave Haaland alone over 3 expected assists. De Bruyne, stop. Right, Steve, stop comparing Foden's playmaking to Kevin De Bruyne's playmaking. That is a false equivalence. That's like me saying, oh, Alvarez isn't as good a finisher as Haaland. That's not fair. Like, of course he's not as good at playmaking as the best midfielder in the world. What? Oh, what a surprise. How bizarre is that? It's really weird. It's really odd and bizarre. Again, people have got in their head, and now people have it in their head. It's like the Grealish thing now. People have got in their head that Grealish is this player when they're just wrong. But so whenever something happens which slightly supports their preconceived idea, that just enables them in their brain to go, you see, that's the thing. So now every little thing that happens with Foden from now to the end of his existence, so it appears, is going to be the case. And all the good work is now apparently going to be ignored. It's very unusual, as I say. I don't know where this has come from. I've only started seeing it the past couple weeks, actually. I didn't see it at all last season. Not once did anyone ever say that. Not once did anyone say that. I wonder if it's because of the Euros. And again, was Foden good at the Euros? No. I'd say mid. Mid, to be honest. Confirmation bias. Fantastic mentality. That's absolutely right. But even then, that was like a 6 out of 10 tournament from him. If you listened to Twitter and didn't try to just like review the games yourself and try to utilize critical thinking, you'd think that Foden like shot his own teammates. The way people were talking about his performances, it was distinctly mid, like a 5-6 out of 10. Wasn't particularly great overall. Wasn't particularly terrible. I don't know. I have no idea what's happened there. He hasn't even played a full 90 this season, and now all of a sudden he apparently can't play, make, or create or pass. It's very odd, very odd. And if it was just rival fans, I'd be like, okay, well, rival fans are rival fans. It's the fact that City fans that's the most disappointing thing. People love to put themselves into camps. When we signed Doku, it was I love Doku, I hate Grealish, or vice versa. Now apparently it's I love De Bruyne or I hate Foden or vice versa. Really weird from some people. Odd. Really odd. Anyway, guys. Hope you've managed to enjoy today's show. I'm exceedingly hot. It's also quite warm in here as well. Haha, do you see what I did there? I will try to think about how I can make an analysis video from that game. But I'm, again, struggling to think about what are the main storylines from that game outside of what I've explored in today's show. I don't think it was particularly tactically interesting, but I'll try my best. Maybe I'll watch it again tonight and see what I can think about that. Until then, guys, thank you so much for joining me. We did get over 150 likes in the end, which is fabulous. Wonderful. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Make sure to subscribe if you are new. Thank you all, as always, for your support. Wonderful stuff. And there'll be another stream at some point during the week, so make sure your notifications